Many people will have commodities after they pass, such as gold, silver, platinum, palladium, maybe rhodium, even copper. And these commodities have a specific value, and these vary over the course of time, and they potentially can go up and down in value just as the price of stock. If you need to sell them for them to become official currency in the country or currency that you operate in, say US dollars or euros, after they pass, then you need to find some place in order to sell them. Now, how do you do that? What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a list of several companies that have websites, and you can work with them in order to sell the commodities. Now, these are going to be done associated with potentially your name, or you can do them associated to the estate, but these are very easy transactions. You're going to be doing it based on a concept called a spot price. The spot price is the value at that particular moment that the commodity is worth. So at the time of this video, gold, for example, is worth almost $2,000 an ounce. Silver is worth a little bit over $22 an ounce. And these vary throughout the day and even through the evening, depending on what day you're looking at it, because commodities are one thing that are traded 24 hours a day during the working days. During the non-working days, this varies. So the working days in the United States are Monday through Friday. The Middle East, Sunday through Friday. The only day around the world right now where a commodity is not traded is on Saturday. So if you are looking for the price to be stable, you want to then sell it on Saturday versus trying to have it where you're talking with them and in the middle of working on the transaction, the price might go up or down. And again, that might be a good thing or a bad thing. When I personally worked with some commodities, I had it where I sat there and kept refreshing the page until I hit submit to lock in the price that I was okay with for the spot price. It's just one of those things that you decide when working with commodities. Just like when you work with buying a stock, you can either choose a market order or a limit order and then do one of those things. But with commodities, all you have is the market. So you have to be able to have it where you say, I'm going to accept this market price. If you work with the companies I'm going to list in the description, is they will give you a prepaid postage label potentially, or they will just give you the address for you to mail them with the associated info, and you have to box it up and insure them appropriately for the value, if you wish, being sent over to them. Because these are commodities. There could be anything between a few $1,000s to tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of the commodity that the person might have. The way they will pay you is either via check or a transfer of funds into your bank account. Now, as you might know, is in the United States, anything over $10,000 is automatically notified to the FBI for potential fraud situations. So it's just one of those things you just need to be aware of, that this is going to happen. And it's one of those things that potentially, depending on what happens in the future, the IRS might look at that transaction as, oh, that's your funds. And you'd have to be able to justify, no, that wasn't my funds. That was me selling off things as being the executor of the estate or someone representing the estate in order to collect the value from it to then go into the estate account. So those are some things you need to work through. Either way, once you get the check or the transfer, you will then have the funds. And the funds are able to come in about a week, give or take. It's not that difficult. What happens is that once you mail them the commodity and the agreed upon price before it was shipped, because again, the price of commodities will vary day by day. They'll say you said, okay, the price of gold today is $1,900 an ounce, and I am sending 1 ounce of gold. That means that is the price that place will pay for the gold at that time. If the price goes up or the price goes down, it could happen. They're still locking you in at that 1900. So for example, say by the time they receive it, the price of gold goes from 1900 to say 3000 an ounce. They're still paying you the 1900 because that was the agreed upon amount. If it say goes from 1900 down to 1000, they still agreed to pay you 1900 an ounce. Again, that was the agreed upon amount. That's what they will pay out for it at that particular moment in time. You need to understand that. It's not the only other way to take advantage of it associated to the estate is potentially using the commodities as collateral in some form and then working through that. And again, for those type of things, work with an estate attorney, work with a financial institution, and a tax attorney or a CPA to handle those if you want to handle that type of approach. This also applies to rare coins and things that you don't want to just pass down across the line as legacy and sentimental value, even though that there is intrinsic value and you might need to use that to pay for estate affairs. The other way you can sell commodities is by putting it up on a website such as eBay or Amazon or other ones, and then just sell it for whatever you want. Now, I mentioned about the fact that the places that I'll list in the description pay things based on spot price and those components. If you have it where you are selling it, say, on a site like eBay or Amazon or maybe even Walmart, or say it's a very big collection of things, a place like, say, Sotheby's, those are now auction prices or prices that are now agreed upon outside of the spot price value. Now, those places I mentioned, they will pay the spot price for the amount. These other ones might have where you might be able to get more. So for example, say silver is worth $22 an ounce. You potentially could sell on eBay that coin or that bar, instead of for $22 an ounce, you might be able to sell it for 30 or 50. Depends on what it is. It's a market economy at that point, and it's whatever someone's willing to pay for it, that's what you'll be able to get for it. Personally, I recommend just going with the commodity broker and just handling it that way. It's just a very easy and simple way to handle the transaction to be able to get the funds appropriately, fair price, and not working with it. Unless it's a collectible item, such as a 1800 Morgan dollar that has value to a collector, then go and then deal with that potentially. Or even things like comic books. You don't always want to have it where you just go and just sell it generically. Go to a comic book store, go do your research and do those type of things to try to find the best price you can to get them if you don't want to hold them for sentimental value. This obviously is one of those more interesting things because you're not dealing with physical cash, you're dealing with commodity trading, and maybe you might not understand it fully. Again, that's why I recommend going with one of these brokers and websites that I mentioned. And again, I'm not being paid by any one of them. I have used some of these myself personally to buy commodities or sell commodities, but I'm not getting paid by it. There's no affiliate link or anything like that. This is just me giving you details. If you have any questions related to any of this, feel free to leave comments inside of the video. I'm happy to answer them. And as always, like, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to pass this information along to anybody else that you feel might benefit from these details. And I'll see you in the next video.